Welcome back to the show, everyone. This is the Voices of Healing podcast. I'm your host, Tina Clark. I'm a shamanic Reiki master teacher, and today's guest shares shamanic healing with me, Divine Diana, and she is going to talk about quantum healing, and we're going to get more into the spiritual side of healing, but this is important, another important component of overall holistic healing. So I hope you tune in and enjoy the show. So welcome to the show.
Thank you so much. It's really nice to be here. I go by Diana Divine, and yeah, it's a fun journey we're on, Tina. Healing others, helping others, and guiding them, and been doing it for a very long time. So it's been over 25 years at this point in this lifetime, not to
Mhm.
mention all other lifetimes that we remember that we've done this in other incarnations as well.
Yeah, I had a blip because I introducing you because it says Love a Ripple on your screen, and
I
I
think
didn't
I
want to introduce you as Love a Ripple.
no worry. Oh yeah, it just blocked from that account, but it's all good.
All right. So, well, you've been doing this for a long time. So, can you give us a little bit more on your background and how did you get into this?
Yeah, I think I've always been very tuned in since I was a child. I just didn't realize or recognize that I was an old soul. I was always very aware and curious about the world. I was born in Soviet Union, and I grew up in Middle East and Israel, and then came here when I was 16 years old, and just kind of following my curiosity. I went through a lot of hurdles, and I call it like the um, process of transformation that many of us go through, and many of us who stepped into the healing, we usually experience some sort of darkness that allowed us to want to do this work. And for me, I when I lived in Israel, I experienced the Gulf War, I experienced boss bombing in my town, I experienced suicide. So there's a lot of like what I call scorpion energy, this dense energy that wanted to heal others and knew there was a better way. And so when I came to the United States and later went to college and started meditating and connecting to my inner knowing and my frequency, things just started coming my way. I became a Reiki master. Actually, I went back to Israel, and my mom was into it. I got initiated into my first Reiki, and then I started feeling energy. As you start feeling energy, everything kind of starts coming online. You want to, put your hands on everyone. And I no longer call it Reiki because what it is today is completely different energy. It's just so vast and multidimensional, and the ability to tap into what I'm bringing today is different. But it was a great beginning, and that, of course, led me into like the shamanic journey. So working with plant medicines such as ayahuasca for a very long time, then facilitating martial medicine ceremonies, and really going into also Native American traditions, and doing a lot of ecstatic type of Native American dance without plant medicine, and kind of moon dancing and all of that. So I really felt like I got to understand like the earthly way. And then I was actually ayahuasca medicine, the grandmother who I, sat with her in South America and Central America, kind of did all my journeys with her. She was the one who's like, "You're complete. It's time for you to go galactic." And I'm like, "What's galactic?" She's like, "Well, you'll understand, but this work with me is done." And so she kind of pushed me out. She graduated me out, which I was like, "Oh, okay. I think there's something new." And for a while, I was just integrating. And that's when I had an experience. Well, I met my husband, who's my twin flame. That definitely helped to accelerate my journey forward. And then, yeah, it was just a beautiful transcendental experience I had, which is what I help many to open to today. I call it source language, some call it light language, but essentially this multidimensional language, and start tapping into it, and frequencies and the stars and the universes, And as I tapped into that quantum field, I started understanding the quantum, started opening Akashic records, and it just keeps on expanding and never stopping. But the fun part of this too is that besides just being so esoteric, my husband is very much like a cosmic engineer. So he started playing with quantum technology and actually making artifacts. And now we sit in on a lot of incredible technology where um, he's teaming up with some incredible influences who are pioneers in this field. I'm kind of doing my things with them, but it's technology that allows you to feel the energy in your field. So it amplifies. I use it in my workshops, so these lights, orbs, and other things that I'm also selling on Etsy, and rods, the ones that we used in Egypt, same ones, but another level to them. So it's great to have tools. And as I've been on this journey of tools, and then started podcasting a couple of years ago, then it just the downloads kept on coming. It's time to write a book. And I was like, okay, we got to synthesize this. And that's how Mastering Quantum Creation was born and got released this June. Just had hit bestseller in September, and I'm about to release audiobook for November 11th, 11/11. So in an Oracle deck, which kind of came along with it. It's just a shorter tool because not everyone is going to, you know, read 300 pages or listen to audiobooks. Everyone wants a quick fix, but it's also a great way to interact with energies. I've been working with so many oracles, as you know, many of us who are in this field, we're like confirming with for ourselves, validating. But because I'm working in the field, multidimensionality, the light codes, a lot of these Egyptian energies, Atlantean energies of my past life started coming through, and they wanted me to create a certain deck of where it kind of mirrored my book, where I cover Kundalini activation, light language, emotional mastery, and what it means to be a creator. So I don't, it's awaken the phoenix within. So how we awaken that energy within us, manifest your reality, and reclaim your cosmic power. So a lot about it. Also, our starseed cosmic lineage, where we came from, and I help many to remember opening their records or taking them through quantum healing hypnosis, which is my most favorite journey that I take people on to remember their past lives. And of course, those who are ready, many go off planet and connect to their, you know, other experiences they had. So it's been fun journey of expansion.
Yeah, congrats on the success of the book. That must be exciting. So what is the book about? I mean, it's what is quantum creation? Can you explain to people who may not even,
Mhm.
do anything spiritual, but is really just curious about leading a holistic lifestyle?
Yeah, so quantum became this big word. I call it the sexy word in the spiritual community now, where quantum is thrown on everything. But essentially, quantum is the energy around us, right? It's the field of information. And when I think of quantum, think of it as like an ocean of energy, and we have waves. They literally seen as waves. And then when you break the wave, it breaks into a particle. So we are particles, essentially, like we are manifestation of the energy into the physical. So we very connected to the quantum field because we are quantum ourselves. So if we are quantum ourselves and we also hold just just as we come from the light, we come from the source, we come from the sound and consciousness, we also have that within us, within the biology. So one of the fields that's really developing right now is quantum biology, because now they're looking into DNA, they're looking into mitochondria, which is the organelle in the body that produces the ATP, the energy in the body. They're looking at biophotonic production of all this light within us. So, so quantum is essentially trying to encompass all of that. And we are getting really upgraded right now with quantum energy because we are passing through cosmically through a photonic belt, more light. The the sun is constantly bombarding us right now with geomagnetic storms with all the solar flashes. What is that? More radiation, more light, right? More light particles coming into our field. And we also moving cosmically towards galactic center, which means also closer to more light. So, because it's the central sun, right? We could call it the black hole, it's also the central sun. So, with that said, if I were to like zoom out, like who we are, right? We come from the source. Our higher self is part of the source. And what we're learning right now is how to connect to our higher self. So we just various particles, variations of the light in different densities and different dimensions. Here we are on Earth, and right now, third dimension, a third density, and we're shifting right now with also the planet. So Mother Earth, is also alive, and she's also in this process of transformation, and we co-creating this ascension process together with her. So Quantum Creator is someone who is, first of all, accepting the fact that we're so much more than this body, right? There's so much more going on that our eye spectrum can meet. We don't see it per se, but those who have their senses more awakened, some people actually see, they can see light codes, these geometries in the field. I see them sometimes. I'm more of a feeler. I feel, so energy moves me. I can draw it. I move a lot of energy because I'm a shaman. So shamans, what we do, we transmute energy. So like in my classes, I'm constantly transmuting and purging energetically, you know, hear all these burps and collecting this energy and shifting states of energy from denser to lighter, right? Because all energy has its place. So, for those who are on the spiritual path, what does that mean? It just means you have to expand your container to hold more light and also accept the fact that you are infinite creator, just like the source that's creating. You also come from that energy. So, just because here we're so limited, we forgot that we're created beings. We forgot that we created nebulas and galaxies, and our soul participating in these incredible creations, and we use this blueprint in other places, not just in this universe. But here in this denser reality on Earth, the whole point of the simulation game was to forget. Every time we reincarnate, we don't remember. So we're in this constant, what I call multidimensional amnesia, which is this amnesia is what we're waking up from. In other systems, Pleiades, Arcturus, Sirius, whatever, we always remembered who we are because sometimes the soul did not just stay in one system. It wanted to experience because all it cares about, the software of the soul, is to experience different realities. And so sometimes, we would start in a Lyran system because of the galactic wars, move to Sirius, to Pleiades. Some of us were Arcturians, Andromedans, all these frequencies that we collected along the ways, experiences and learnings. Many of us, well, most of us who are starseeds and probably Tina listening to this episode with you right now, we volunteered to be here. Like we literally did, because we also realized that what we can learn here in this density, we can't learn over there. Because here everything is compressed. There is this linearity, which is an illusion of itself, time. But in one day, just think about it. How many things happening to you and constant lessons that are happening, and because you have this individuation you don't necessarily have in other systems, you're able to process all of that and learn. And as you collect in this information, you uploading this information to the source and you downloading up and down. We sharing constantly. We don't even realize we're doing that, but we are in dream space, in meditations. And those of us who are very tuned to our field, we know how it's happening even more now. It's like a constantly accelerated, constantly when you get these downloads, these insights, like the aha moments, and your hair standing. The hair, by the way, is mitochondria. So that's the organelle in the cell that actually first reacts to this multidimensional energy. So We can go on. I'll pause now for you
Gosh,
to ask more
there's
questions.
so much that you said that I want to get into,
Yeah,
but
go
I
ahead.
want to focus on the healing part.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think it's important to know who we really are. And I think we get focused on our physical reality. We forget all the other things that are going on that are also part of ourselves. And when you're speaking about this, it just makes me feel better. Like I feel comforted because I also get distracted by the 3D and the physical, even though I am a practicing Reiki master and a shaman too. But it's like those everyday mundane things that you worry, that pull you back down, like paying bills or, you know, time, do I have time or, what am I going to do with my time? And so
And
let's
that's the
talk.
beauty of what makes us human, right? We all
Yeah,
experience it. No matter how far you along this journey, you feel like you know everything and nothing at the same time. That's how I feel. And like you said, being human, trying to ground yourself in this reality, and it's a game, but you have to figure out how to play the game, pay the bills, do whatever is
yeah.
necessary. So I totally relate with that. Yeah.
Yeah, so let's talk about disconnection. A lot of people are feeling disconnected,
Mm,
or maybe they don't understand. Maybe this is the first time they're hearing about being part of source
mm,
and that, why we're here on this planet right now. So how can we feel more connected every day to our higher selves, our multidimensional reality?
mm. So the beauty of human consciousness is curiosity. And that's actually the difference between ourselves and the AI. Um,
Mm, mhm.
I the AI, for instance, the artificial intelligence, right? It's good in giving you the answers, but not in asking the questions. And that's what makes it different from us because we're sentient and it's not. It's a whole different conversation about whether we're going to become sentient, because I do see it becoming sentient eventually. But if we just, compare ourselves, let's say us versus the machine, right? So if we are sentient, we need to ask constantly the questions: who am I? Why am I here? And the deeper we start asking the questions, the more we start connecting with ourselves. And we're opening the field of potentiality. We're opening our field to connection and realization. There's much more out there than ourselves. So it starts with that. I feel curiosity is the first thing. And besides that, then you need to develop practices. Practice promotes presence. Because what happens to many, because we're so distracted, we live either in the past, and that's where we experience depression because we loop in constantly and we're ruminating and we live in the moments. We're not in the present, or we live in the future. And so we experience anxiety. We are constantly afraid of the unknown because the way humans been created, we have the primordial brain, right? The cave brain. Survival is our key thing. And to feel safe, safety is usually equals sameness. This is how our cave mind thinks. So just imagine, Tina, if we were in the cave, you and I right now, we sit in front of the fire and you'd be like, Diana, we need to get food. We need to go out there and get food. Like, because, we're hungry. But there is like a lion running around and it might, you know, grab us. It's dangerous. So we develop in this like fear vibration because there's danger out there. But we know that if we come out of the cave, we take a path down and there's like a tree with berries. And this is where usually we grab our berries, we go back to the cave, and that's our source of food. But then one day we go down there and the berries dried out. And what happens? We freak out because all of a sudden we have to now go into this territory of the unknown, but then there's lion running around there and it's dangerous and it's fearful, we might not survive. This is how the primordial brain operates. But we're not in primordial brain anymore. We also have now a prefrontal cortex, which is surpassing the primordial brain. And if we operate here, this is where we experience joy and abundance and love and those higher frequencies. So, what we need to do is practice presence. So, we also, from neurological perspective, from brain perspective, we rewire our brain. So, those negative beliefs of, oh, I'm not safe, go away, and we in the presence we start feeling safety with ourselves first. Many don't feel safe with themselves. Many don't love themselves. Many don't even know how to be with themselves. During pandemic era was interesting experiment in consciousness, because all of a sudden people were forced indoors, so they didn't have distractions anymore, and all of a sudden it was the first time they were like, oh my god, what do I do with myself, right? And that's where I actually saw uptick of people doing meditations and yoga and get into spirituality in a way they never have before, because all of a sudden they went into inward process versus external process. So you have to build these practices for yourself. So start your day with one thing. Pick a thing that resonates with you the most. Maybe it's a walk in the park. Maybe it's a breath work that you do for 10 minutes. Maybe it's just sitting down and just closing your eyes if you can do that. Maybe it's a movement dance or qigong, or any practice that allows you to disengage from looping around, worrying about the future and the bills you have to pay, and just being with you. And when you're in that presence, in stillness, then you really start feeling your heart. You start feeling your third eye. You start feeling your crown, all these connection points that you have. And really the heart, I would say, is what creates coherence. So coherence is basically when there's balance within you. And they already proven with all the scientific studies they've done with the Heart Math Institute and other institutions, when your heart is synchronized, its beat synchronized with the brain, you start dropping into alpha or theta. So there's like brain waves. So when you're now talking, we're in beta. If I'm sitting and watching TV, let's say, or closing my eyes, I drop into alpha. If I'm meditating and I start seeing things, images, or I'm dreaming, right? My eyes are moving, I'm in theta. So the goal of all the meditations is actually to drop you into theta, because actually in theta and brainwave theta, that's when you kick into parasympathetic. So you move from sympathetic, which is fight and flight, to parasympathetic, which is where your body relaxes, your mind relaxes, your whole body relaxes. And then the heartbeat and your brain start synchronizing and start working kind of the same, in the same pace. Versus, like, if you look at people who are anxious, their heartbeat is erratic. It's like all over the place. So back to shamanism, I would love to weave that with you. The drum.
Mhm.
So why Native Americans use the drum? I love my shamanic drum, because when you beat the drum, what are you doing? You're simulating the heartbeat. And the heartbeat starts mirroring this drum, right? Poof, 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 poof. And what happens? You start getting into coherence, and your brainwaves drop into alpha and theta, and you can go more into that meditative state, right? All the shamanic journeys that we do, and meditations that we do, the goal is always to drop people into that slower, into theta, unless sometimes, like before ecstatic dance, I actually don't want to have them be in theta. I want them to be in gamma, which is 30 hertz and above. I want them to be multidimensional and like radiate a lot of energy and go into ecstatic bliss or kundalini. Very different. So then actually I want more movement. And so it's not about going down, it's another level of connection. It's either theta or gamma. I find that's where most of deeper connection happens for people.
That's so interesting because I know there's been studies done on Reiki practitioners and they go into the alpha state. And then you just mentioned theta, where you start seeing clairvoyantly in that state. So can you talk about the difference between the alpha state and the theta state a little bit more?
Yeah, I mean, alpha is just when you start feeling relaxed. So you're not as hyper focused, like, is more when your brainwave starts dropping to, theta is 8 hertz and below. So it's that range of like, I think it's like 15 to 8. That's alpha. So, so like even when you're watching TV, you know, you already in alpha because that's when all the subliminal programming happens in TV because they know you're in alpha. Meaning you looking at it, you focus, you're watching it, but your mind kind of actually relaxes. Like you're not hypervigilant anymore. And or you close your eyes and you're in meditation, your brain is still very conscious, it still works, but it's not yet at that level where you 8 hertz and below, where the REM, like the imagery starts. You can induce it. I mean, I do quantum healing hypnosis, which is the goal of it is to regress people and get them into hypnosis. So my goal is to bring them into theta. So we use, inductions for them to see images and things like that, to feel as though that is happening in the subconscious. So dropping them deeper into subconscious from the conscious. So the what's interesting there is this very silver line, it's like deeper between theta and delta. And that's when I do quantum healing hypnosis, actually, when I call in the higher self, it's not right away. It's usually like an hour into the regression. That's where I'm trying to get to, that silver line in between, where delta is you completely knocked out and asleep, and theta, you kind of close to it, but you're so relaxed and your brain's so relaxed that you allowing another energy to come in and fully kind of channel for you. And so you're no longer a controller. I like to use metaphors, and I hope this helps. And this is just in general my understanding of channeling and what happens. So it's like we drive in a car, right? We're the driver. Actually, when we driving, we often in alpha, especially when we on autopilot, like we don't think about it, often enough, like you go into a zone a bit and you have a download when you're driving, it's because you're in alpha. So you're not closing your eyes yet, but you still relax because you're like on autopilot. But when you allowing the higher self to come in, at that point, you actually, to use the driver analogy, you're no longer a driver anymore. You're switching seats. So you become a passenger and your higher self becomes the driver because the ego, your free will, is always there. It doesn't want to go away. It wants to be present. It wants to observe. It wants to control. So it's important to surrender and let go. So, what makes someone a good channeler? Someone who is able to, let go. Someone like Bashar, Daryl Anka, completely lets go that he is in the passenger and Bashar takes over completely. Some of us are channelers who are more conscious. We are passengers and kind of a little bit of drivers somewhere in between. So we don't completely disconnect, but we allow in the higher self that, to come through and do its thing because we trust it implicitly that they know how to drive. And so connection just means that you able to move between the two. You allow in the ego to be a little more flexible and not super controlling and be like, no, just me. I know how to drive here. You say, no, I'm inviting you, divine will, higher self, to co-create with me here, and it's a dance. It's a dance that you do together, and so you develop that connection. It For some people it's natural. If it's someone who is a super empath, they more connected to themselves, they feel everything, they trust that more because it's part of their life, it's how they grow up. And sometimes they don't. Sometimes they're so afraid that like they clamp in. So I always teach empaths how to open the field, and actually they're the brightest thing in the room, not the other way around. So it's a different thing. If you're an empath out there, you have to actually learn how to hold your field. So it's a whole thing about learning how to hold your field. But if you not an empath, you can still develop this. You can be what I call like cultivated empath, someone who's just, opening. I don't consider myself an empath per se. I think it's something I've learned and cultivated over the years, and now can turn it on and turn it off as I want to. But I'm aware of it, and I can turn on my senses, all of them, and it's much more than five. Um, I don't even know how many. It's so multidimensional. But what is true is that some of us, of course, have the more dominant ones. Like some are more clairvoyant, others more clairaudience. Like, so you have to see where the information is coming from. Are you hearing it? Is there inner voice that is talking to you? That's omniscience. That's your higher self. Start the dialogue. Start having these conversations, and start trusting this voice and the advice this voice gives you. Or work with shamans, healers, people like yourself, Tina, and myself, who help have you trust your voice. And voice is a big one. So that's been my passion for the last 8 years, is to help people to activate their voices, because my voice was clamped. And when that experience happened with light language, where I saw these lights and then these incredible tones came out of me, I was like singing opera. I was like, who is this? Like, I didn't even know I could do this. But I've been opening my voice, and not just talking, but that like multidimensional voice, the pure soul expression of who I am. And we've been so trained, especially as women, like, and suppressed over centuries of not speaking our truth, not being embodied in that voice. And I think it's our time to reclaim that.
Yeah, so the only way to get to alpha and theta brainwaves is you have to quiet your mind, which is what I always talk about, a practice of quieting the mind, of mindfulness or meditation, whatever you do, Reiki. Reiki quiets the mind.
Yeah,
But
there's
what
so many
about
ways.
gamma? What is gamma, and how you said you can
Yeah,
get to it?
gamma is 30 hertz and above. Gamma is multidimensional. As my most so I actually haven't shared it on any podcast before, so I'm going to share with you. Years ago, I ended up in Brazil in this very kind of, I would say, a vortex, a paranormal vortex, where there was a lot of UFOs, a lot of things. They don't use any spiritual concepts. There's no plant medicine, none of that. They're all about connection to these UFO or these ET beings that would show up. And they, in the middle of the night, would do practices with us. But these practices were not to meditate. These practices were actually to move a lot and activate our field through movement. So it was like jumping up and doing this and that, rubbing our hands, like really, you know, getting the energy hotter. Because multidimensional being from another dimension, so let's say we vibrate in gamma, 30, whatever, 35 hertz. That's the highest we can go. And this being shows up, a baby god from another dimension, 1,000 hertz. This 1,000 hertz being is going to burn you. So they also have to tune you to their vibration and drop their frequency to match you, because it's just too much. It's just too wide of a difference. So to be in gamma, it's to be in that state of flow. And many people in, sports, they know that. It's like when you hit that zone, like the best athletes, right?
Mhm.
And that happens for them when they they do in movement, and it's just there's a lot of energy, phoenix fire, I would say, in that. And you hit gamma. Gamma is higher frequency, right? So the higher frequency you can go, the more connection you can have as well. So there's different states. So when I am doing a Kundalini activation class, for instance, there's some people who just lie the whole time and they're in theta and they love it and they connect, they feel energy. But there's also others who just constantly in somatic waves and they just like very, usually that's me too, very wired up. And I'm just like standing and I'm just like pulsing, and I'm doing things like I'm in gamma. And then I have, my third eye blasting and I feel all this energy around me and these, gold codes and like there's so much energy coming out of me. I'm definitely not in theta. I'm definitely not in alpha. I'm out there if you were to measure me because there's just so much coming that sometimes I don't even know how to contain it. So, and that's a beautiful state too. Not everyone is ready for it. Is everyone has its healing power, and different connection. But I know those who are dancers, like, and
Yeah.
dance ecstatically, I'm talking about.
Well, I'm thinking about, when I was younger and I loved to dance and I would go out dancing and I would dance for hours, hours and hours. And
Yeah,
then you just get into this zone, which must be
exactly.
the gamma.
Gamma, you in gamma, yeah.
And there's this euphoric high that you feel and you could just keep going. It's like unlimited energy. You don't
Exactly.
need to sit down. Maybe you might get thirsty. You could ignore it. You could just keep going. That's so interesting. And
And why
also,
you get thirsty, besides movement, you know why we get thirsty? Because we burn in so much fuel, but also multidimensionally, we burn a lot of hydrogen. So we get dehydrated because what's happening is we like awaken that Kundalini Phoenix fire within us. And then our thyroidal field starts spinning around. And those who have Merkabas activated, the Merkaba starts active. Everything starts activating you in the zone, you in gamma.
mhm,
And that's a lot of energy producing. And we are quantum, remember, quantum creative beings. So we produce a lot of light and a lot of energy. We are very self sufficient. We don't give ourselves the enough credit of how powerful we are. If everyone on earth understood this and used their powers, whoa, like, right?
mhm.
So everyone, imagine everyone dancing in this euphoria, Tina, like how incredible, how much energy we produce. And then you get dehydrated because it's just like you need more hydrogen. Yeah.
Mm. It's so I've learned so much doing this podcast, and it's the if I look at just what I've done, and I didn't even have the words for it, what I was doing, like I had a guest on cold plunging, and I've been doing that since I was a little girl.
Mm,
And I didn't even know what I was really doing. I just knew that when I got into the cold mountain water behind my aunt's house all day, that I felt good, that I felt safe. And, I it's just so interesting. Like I've been really learning a lot about myself. Well, Diana,
mm.
I just love this conversation. I hope
Thank you,
the
Tina.
listeners followed us, and I know some of you may be new to these concepts, and some of you may not be new to it, but and followed us. Hopefully, you learned that we're more than just a body. We're a soul and a body, and we're doing amazing things, and we have amazing potential. And and there's different ways to access that, like Diana discussed. So can you share your how people can contact you and your website, and
Sure.
the
Yeah.
name of your book again, and also if you have any classes or events coming up?
Sure. And I also would love to, before we jump into all of that, to open the card for us to kind of close off our amazing conversation. And right, let's see what comes up. What's the message for the collective? Oh, interesting. And that we can have a whole episode on that. Sacred
Oh no.
union, twin flames. But it's about the divine union within. And that's kind of what I was talking about, is to connect and find that connection. So sometimes it's relationships too. But first we have to find it within ourselves. So what I was talking about, that building a connection between your ego self and your higher self, is the divine union. Sacred union is remembered within. As your inner divine masculine and feminine unify, you become the flame that magnetizes all. So that's the work, is to find that sacred divine union. And as you find that, you also magnetize towards you that type of partnership as well. And yeah, you can find me on my website. It's dianadivine.com. I go by Diana, but it's spelled dianadivine.com. My book is Mastering Quantum Creation, Awaken the Phoenix Within, Manifest Your Reality, and Reclaim Your Cosmic Power. It's available on Amazon and all other major bookstores. And yeah, as I mentioned, the audiobook is coming out soon, so that is exciting. An ebook is doing really great, so you can get it in any format that works for you.
And
And
you
I
also have the card deck available?
the card deck is available on my website as well. Yeah, it's on Etsy. So yeah, people love it as well. It's just because it's different and it has, other codes and tap different pieces of multidimensionality and Egypt, as I mentioned. Yeah, I have always workshops, online workshops happening. So follow me the best on Instagram. I post as well. I have Diana M. Divine, so M as in Mary. And I have also a YouTube channel, also Diana M. Divine. There's links there. And I have many. There's one that's coming up on quantum abundance, mastering, creation. And I'm constantly sharing, about quantum entanglement, all these concepts. And even in the book, there's always like meditation or exercises, because sometimes these concepts are so hard to understand. I like the experiential part to that as well.
Well, thank you so much, Deanna, for sharing your wisdom and experience with us. And all that information is going to be on the show notes if you'd like to reach out to Deanna.
Thank you so much, Tina, for having me. And thank you, everyone, for being open. And if there's anything that sparked your interest and like resonated with you, just follow your curiosity. Just be open. And it's all about following those breadcrumbs. So just continue your journey of expansion. And it's all about the journey, it's not about destination. Remember, and then you are incredible quantum creator, and everything is available for you.
That sums it up.